The year is 1941. The United States is still recovering from the Great Depression, and America is listening to the Chattanooga Choo by Glenn Miller. With the bombing of Pearl Harbor by the Japanese on December 7th, President Roosevelt declares war on Japan. A few days later, Germany and Italy declared war on the U.S. Our nation is now fully engulfed in World War II. 16.5 million men and women served in the U.S. Armed Forces during this time. Over 3,500,000 served in the Navy. Let's look at what life was like on a World War II naval ship. This is the LST-325, the last fully operational World War II landing ship tank. Come along as we go on board and take a tour.
My friend, let's go exploring.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi there. Besides the large wide doors, one of the first things you notice as you board the ship onto the tank deck is the Greek name Syros. The LST-325 was sold to Greece and was in their navy from 1964 to 2000 before she was purchased by a group of private citizens and brought back home. I'm going to have to make a stop at that gift shop before I leave. We are now standing on the tank deck. The tank deck is 230 feet long, 28 feet wide, and 12 feet high. It could hold 20 Sherman tanks, 33 tons each.
The ship loaded up again, this time on June 12, 1944. LST-325 put its ramp down on Omaha Beach. That's a reality. This ship was at Normandy. This ship was at Normandy. Warship, standing on it. All the tanks that went off this ship were right here where you're standing. On Normandy, it's 18 foot high. Water goes out 18 feet, comes in 18 feet. So they landed at half high tide. Tide goes out. This ship just goes and sits down on the sand. Again, that's not good enough. You got to get the ship out to deeper water, about 2 feet into the water before the intakes of the cooling water for the engines. So it's a complicated thing to get this ship off the beach.
As you can tell, there are many exhibits set up on both sides of the tank deck.
Very, very big engines. V12, 671A engines. The engine is the same engine used by a railroad engine. This is a connecting rod for one of our engines. The crank sits in here, there's a piston rod, goes through there, this connects to the piston. The piston then rides up and down this cylinder liner. The reason for the cylinder liner is to provide cooling. But you tried to lift this, you wouldn't be able to. Not knowing, I think it's around 175 to 200 pounds. That piece of metal right there. Now, in your car is a piston about that size. In our engine is a piston this big. There are 12 of them to an engine. This is our one military vehicle. With the exception that it wasn't in Vietnam or World War II, it was in Korea. But it's historic. The LST-325 brought back 2 things when it came back. It didn't come back empty. You bring back prisoners of war, or you bring back injured soldiers headed to hospitals in England. Sometimes those soldiers' injuries were bad enough they would have to be taken care of here. So the stretcher access on port side, there's a medical office back there they could receive. In the service of the Greek Navy for 30 years. We can't erase history. Flag crease.
Even up on the storage for the food stuff. You've got a dairy locker, veggie locker, and a deep freezer. All of them are relatively small. The dairy locker is the only one you can stand up in. The others you kind of got to crawl. Let me tell you, I bumped my head many times in there.
Next, we are going to proceed up the port ladder to the galley. The galley still has the original steam table and dumbwaiter. On your left is the yeoman's office where the ship's business was conducted. As we proceed out of the hatch to the main deck, we turn right to see the massive stern anchor winch. Here we get to check out the Beaufort gun. Also notice the #1 Landing Craft Vehicle Personnel, LCVP, which was used to transport troops to the beaches.
The idea of this thing, this gun, is defensive. It was simply for aim at any aircraft that come in. You're on the water. This is your home. You got to think of it that way. The sailors who are on board this thing, this is where they live. This is where they slept. This is where they worked. They're out in the middle of the ocean. It's their home. Yeah. Some plane coming in. The plane wants to destroy the ship, so the ship is going to try to destroy the plane before it hits the ship. Anything to protect your home. You would have 4 of these. This is an empty container, but 4 of them would sit actually sits on the other side. You'd have to load 2 of these every minute to keep the gun fed with ammunition. The shell looks like this, the complete shell. This is the charge. This is where the black powder was that fired. This is the bullet that went out. On the gun, this one raises and lowers the barrel. On this side, it rotates it. You are invited, you can sit here and hold on.
Here you see the wheelhouse where the ship is controlled. Here I climbed the ladder to the conning station, where the captain directed the operations of the ship. Directly below the con is the captain's sea cabin, which he uses for short periods of rest while at sea. I don't think we were supposed to be up here. I'm going to hustle down.
So we stopped number 6.
Next we're going to tour through officers' country. LSTs were assigned 10 officers and 8 Marine or Army officers to accompany troops. Only officers and 2 stewards were allowed. Here is the pantry, where food was brought from the galley by stewards to serve to the officers. On the right is an internal ladder to the radio room. Next we have the captain's quarters. He has a small office, a separate bunk room with a head and shower, and a couch. Captain's quarters.
Boy, you wouldn't want to be in your room very long.
It's not too plush.
I like the cheap cruise line.
Now we will proceed out of the hatch to the main deck. This is where rubber-wheeled vehicles, artillery, and all types of supplies are carried. The helicopter pad was added by the Greek Navy. You will also see 2 spare brass propellers, 4 20mm gun mounts, 2 single 40mm Bofor guns, and 1 dual 40mm Bofor gun, now fired with propane. The tall tub in the center is for the gun director.
If the chief engineer sent you for a wrench, the tool room access is over there. So you had to climb all the way up 21 feet, go down 21 feet, come back. All access, all levels of the ship could be accessed through here, but this was the only access for the engine room.
The yellow clover leaves you see were used to secure equipment to the deck. You have to walk carefully. It's easy to trip on them. So next we are going to head down the forward port side hatch to the second deck. Now we are about to enter the troop berthing area. The ship has racks for 300 Army or Marine soldiers. These bunks are as they were in 1942, with added Greek graffiti on some of the racks. Notice the original helmets and life jackets. It appears that we are completing our tour. Next, we will proceed down the ladder into the tank deck. In case you're interested, you can help support this unique historical treasure and educate the public about LSTs and the men who served on them by donating. I'll share that information with you. If you are donating with a credit or debit card, just call the office at 812-435-8678 or use the email you see on the screen. If you prefer to donate with a check, you may mail it to USS LST Ship Memorial Incorporated, 610 Northwest Riverside Drive, Evansville, Indiana, 47708, along with a note about the purpose of your donation.